Invited to a wedding, but there's a huge catch that left me in shock. I was so happy to see a wedding invitation in my mailbox. I pulled it out, and a little note fell out on an index card. But I looked at the invitation first. It was truly beautiful, and I immediately stuck it to my fridge like the work of art it was. It was addressed to my husband and me, and I was beyond stoked. I love weddings. I tend to get teary-eyed and smile until my face hurts at the joy of new beginnings and all the love. I was even a wedding singer. That's how much I love them. I picked up the note card and read that, and while my husband was invited, I'd be in another room helping to babysit all the children there with several other female invitees. There's a special room for children at the church, and that's where I'd be. For everything. I'd still need to dress for a wedding in case I wind up in any photos, but I'd be taking my reception meal with the children, and I'd be with all the kids for the ceremony. Then there was a link for their gift registry. Oh, and the meals for my husband and myself would be $100 each, and we have a link to pay it when we digitally RSVP. And it costs money to RSVP on the website they've chosen. The first problem here is that I am disabled at 50 years old. Legally, I use oxygen. I use a walker when I need to walk long distances. I sometimes have to give up the walker entirely and use a wheelchair. I'm not proud of it. But there it is. I could happily sit in a room and look at kids, but I'd be pretty useless to prevent a fall or stop a child from choking, or anything else that would require me to move quickly. Second, my husband isn't the one who has been friends with these people since childhood. I am. Why would he be invited to watch the ceremony and be part of the reception, but not me? My husband said he'd happily watch the kids and let me attend the wedding and reception, but the invitation specified that only a few other female invitees would be watching the kids, so I doubt they'd let him. It's just the pure audacity for me. They expect me to not only pay for a meal that I have to eat while watching kids, but also get them a gift and dress up just in case I happen to be captured in photos. I know them because the bride's mom and I were besties growing up. Our mothers were the very best of friends, and it made us become like sisters. Our birthdays are 4 days apart in the same year. We've been friends our entire lives. We went to school together, graduated together, and got married in the same year. The bride is like an unofficial goddaughter for us, and we've been there for all her big milestones. She even met her fiancé at a cookout at our house. We're related to the groom via marriage. So this is a big old slap in the face. I don't even know what to think. We're all American. They've rented a Southern Baptist church, but none of us are overly religious, so that isn't the reason for this. It's not a cultural thing. It's just a tacky thing. I don't even know how to process all of this. I'm angry and sad and feel disrespected and, Update. I spoke to my friend, the mother of the bride, and I'm pretty upset. I've been bawling for most of the day. She called and said that they were getting a lot of backlash from the wedding guests. No one wants to pay $100 for dinner, and only 3 of the women asked, were okay with babysitting. I told her I understood that the guests were upset because it's just tacky to 1, be asked to pay, and 2, be told you are invited, but only to babysit. I told her I would not be a babysitter. At all. No, just no. She got mad and brought up how we were lifelong friends. She said I'd be helping them more by babysitting than I'd be helping by simply sitting in a pew watching. I reminded her that I couldn't physically help at all due to, being legally disabled. She said they completely understood that and expected me to simply supervise the other sitters since they trusted me most. Again, I told her that I felt it was insulting to be voluntold, thanks Reddit for that word, that I'd be babysitting and that I had no desire to do that, especially not dressed in formal wear. Then we got to the truth. She said that she didn't know if I'd be in a wheelchair that day or require a walker. That's fair. I don't always know which one I'll need. She said that they wanted everyone in pews for the wedding video, and me sitting in a wheelchair would make me stick out and ruin videoed photos. I said, if I need a wheelchair that day, then I can move to a pew and my husband can put the wheelchair in another room or back in our car. I may not even need it that day. Then she says, well, space is limited in the pews. You would take up the space of 2 people with your purse and oxygen tank. Then she says, well, space is limited in the pews. You would take up the space of 2 people with your purse and oxygen tank. I said, no, I would not. I wouldn't bring a purse in, and the oxygen tank either sits on my lap or between my feet. It's like a little backpack. I said, no, I would not. I wouldn't bring a purse in, and the oxygen tank either sits on my lap or between my feet. It's like a little backpack. Then she said, Well, having you in oxygen in the photos would be distracting from the other people. And there you have it. Words were exchanged and she hung up on me. I haven't been removed from any social media yet, but I fully expect to be. And there you have it. Words were exchanged and she hung up on me. I haven't been removed from any social media yet, but I fully expect to be. I already feel awful for being this way at only 50 years old. I didn't choose this. I didn't want this. If she thinks it's awful to having it photographed, just imagine living with it. Which is what I told her before she hung up on me. I'm devastated. Just devastated. Update 2. I'm not in the greatest headspace. I don't think I've ever been less okay, honestly. I did not register to RSVP or communicate with them further. Until another invitee got in touch with me and said that the mother of the bride, a person I thought of as basically my sister, was bad-mouthing me into the ground. I explained my side, and our mutual friend was livid. They told the mother of the bride and the bride that they were wrong to want to exclude me, because I might or might not need a wheelchair and would have oxygen on my face. I could remove the oxygen for photos, they told her. So, the mother of the bride sent me a message saying, and I quote, "Well, if you're going to be butthurt about the aesthetic we want to achieve and try to turn other guests against us, then you can fucking come and sit in a pew. But not in photos, and we'll try to get the videographer to do edits to the wedding vid too. But I won't forget how you made this difficult for us." I replied, "How did I make it difficult other than existing?" She replied, "You clearly told about what I told you regarding your wheelchair and oxygen, and she's telling everyone else. We're getting a ton of hate," I said. She asked me if I was attending, and I told her no and explained why. I didn't lie to her. I told her exactly what you said. You didn't tell me not to tell anyone your reasons. If they're valid reasons to you, then you shouldn't care who knows. So, I'm now blocked by the bride, the mom, the dad, and the groom. A friendship I've had my entire life is over. A goddaughter that I helped nurture and care for is just gone now. We paid for the bride's car insurance, gas, and cell phone, all through high school and college, because we wanted her focused on just her studies and not a part-time job. Her parents got her a car, but insisted she work, but her grades fell when she did, and we helped her. And this is how they thank us. This is how they repay our kindness. I guess I'm a great friend when I'm giving money, but I'm not good enough to be seen. I've felt like a burden my whole life, and this has set me back so far. I'm just not okay. Update 3. Friends rented a big cabin venue about 20 minutes from the wedding venue, and everyone who was offended over being asked to pay at the reception and babysit or serve the food, yes, several people got invitations telling them they were invited, but would be serving food at the reception they paid to eat at, got together at the cabin, me included. I was on the fence about going because I really didn't want to sit there and talk about everything and rehash it, but that wasn't my experience at all. I had a truly lovely time. My husband and I even danced to our wedding song, and I had mixed drinks, quite a few, so forgive me if this has typos. LOL. 2 of the bridesmaids opted out of the wedding over mistreatment, and without anyone knowing, they sent letters to all the guests who had been invited to tell them what went down with me, and others being asked to babysit B servers. Those guests were given the address of the cabin. They were the 2 bridesmaids who addressed all the envelopes and still had the guest list, from what they told me. Anyway, we had a great time. There were about 80 of us before all was said and done, though I didn't take a head count. It was packed. Several people went to the wedding but didn't attend the reception. They refused to pay for their meal, and came to our get-together instead, including the 2 bridesmaids who told me all about what I was being called, and the story of how I was trying to ruin their wedding because I was jealous of their good health. The bridesmaids who backed out of the wedding due to bridezilla behavior were posting a ton of pics of all of us dancing and eating. We all chipped in $$ weeks ago for catering and booze, and was seen by my ex-bestie because she unblocked me. I unblocked her weeks ago in the hope that she'd come around, much as I'm loath to admit it, and called me to tell me off again. I told her I didn't plan the alternate reception, but I was invited and came because they didn't care about my health or me ruining any photos, just me having a good time. Apparently, the wedding was ruined because of me. They had invited hundreds of people, and the church wasn't even halfway full. And the reception had less than 30 people, so that's $3,000 the guests paid, when the food and liquor cost around $15,000, and it's my fault they're eating that cost now. They likened me to the Antichrist and the devil and claimed I had to be possessed to do this to a young girl and the groom when he's a member of my family. I said, I didn't do anything. I told the truth, and if the truth hurts you, then maybe you were wrong to do it. Did you consider that? She hung up on me and started calling others and demanding the address so they could come to the actual reception. No one gave it to her. I just got home at 11 p.m. It was a great day. I laughed. I even felt up to dancing a little. I had good news. I don't need my oxygen all the time now, and just at night via CPAP or after exercise, and I have been going to the pool and doing senior aquatics as much as I can. And it's helped so much with my breathing and my mobility. I can walk around the whole grocery store now without needing to sit down on my walker. I still use the walker for long periods due to dizziness from Meniere's disease, but I think I'm doing better. At least I'm trying. I feel very proud of myself, friends. Anyway, the wedding still happened, but they didn't have the numbers they expected, and I've heard that someone suggested they donate the excess food instead of throwing it away, but they didn't. Which sucks, because I just know that firemen, or police, or the hospital, or the homeless shelter would have been so happy to get it. I think I'm doing better mentally after today, because everyone who talked to me told me it was wrong to exclude me because of my wheelchair or oxygen. I did have my walker with me today, but not my wheelchair or an oxygen tube. I had it in my car, just in case I needed it, and there were a couple of times I could have used it, but I was determined not to be in any pics with it, out of pure spite. I also wore the pretty dress I bought for the wedding, and had many compliments. I'm still hurt and angry and miss having that closeness with their family, but I'm going to be okay. Update 4. I got a call today from a mutual friend. She warned me that the bride and her mother are lawyer shopping to find representation to sue me into oblivion for this post, the abysmal attendance at the wedding, and for the alternative reception party that I attended the day of the wedding. Mind you, I simply told the truth when asked why I wasn't going to the wedding, and I did not plan the party that happened on the same day of the wedding. Another friend planned that party and I simply attended it. I had zero part in the planning of that party or the invitations that were sent out. I have the invitation to the party I received as evidence of that, as well as all text exchanges between myself and the bride's family full of threats, and the reason I was uninvited laid out in black and white. I also have the texts from the friend who actually planned the party. If I'm sued, I will counter-sue for libel, defamation, threats, and harassment. I did nothing wrong, and I'd love to go to court to prove that.